The internet is a wonderful place that allows for a digital space for people to communicate with one another from long distances. You can show off a lot of really cool things you made, like indie games, stories, and even videos. But as time has gone on, the internet had become more polished and more algorithm based. It's a strange in between of perfect utopia and dystopia that leaves a sense of emptiness only to be filled with recyclable media. Oh god, not the YouTube shorts. But through the monochrome lens the corporate world has sold to you, you'll see something that shines to only your eyes. And for my eyes, what I saw was Picayune Dreams was created by a well-balanced RPG of a team consisting of an artist, a weaver, and a bard. In other words, Andyland, Stepford, and Milkypossum. The game plays out as a horde survival-esque kind of game that plays as both bullet heaven and bullet hell. The bullet heaven aspect of it is you picking up as much items as you can until the enemies struggle to even get close to you. Sometimes you are your own worst enemy. I can't even see the boss! The game itself has this strange retro old 2000s game aesthetic to it, with a mix of breakcore, and it pulls it off really well. Whew. I love this game. Aside from that, now as every horde survival game goes, there's always a bomb mass progression system behind it that lets you become more and more of a menace to the enemies around you. With this game, you get body enhancements for your character, to do more damage in a variety of different ways. Because your character is this kind of cyborg, and with each body enhancement, you can see coding applied to you, giving small hints at what's being added, like a modifier for increasing your pickup radius to grab more EXP and items, or something with a slasher modifier, which is probably a melee attack. If you're not a big fan of guessing on what it is, the main menu has you covered in the collection, right under the sub-tab Upgrades. This will let you select each item for a more direct definition of what they do. While you're in the collection page, the progression of unlocking each body enhancement can be found in the unlocks. For example, you can kill a certain amount of enemies, equip a certain amount of body enhancements, or other miscellaneous missions, and boom, you get more cool things to add to your arsenal. Not to forget the skill tree that can be found under the loadout, which you're able to unlock more skill points the more you play the game. Now in order to do any of that, you gotta start a run. Start your run, and you're a weak Timmy, right? No offense to any Timmys out there. But you have your little pea shooter. That's all you can really do before you pick up any of the experience points off the ground, and then you'll be able to level up. Because I mean, sure, you're surviving a horde of enemies, but you'll only be able to dodge and weave for so long till you've been reduced to the very scrap that you are. Not to mention, the upcoming boss contacts you, saying, get ready. Now it's up to you to figure out how to do as much damage as you can while dodging bullets left and right. Do I want melee? Do I want complete range? Or do I just want to sit back and not have to worry about dealing with the boss? The optimization is yours to handle because it's all about having those runs where you're just shooting your little pea shooter to where now you can just go to your kitchen, wash your car, do taxes. I don't know. It's cool as hell. But moving on, there is the story, and the story is surreal and a mystery for you to discover as you play as the character. And that was my first time getting to the end, and oh boy, what an interesting way for it to end. Whew. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the story because it's a mystery. You know, do you get the bit? See, it was a really cool static bit. I just learned the effect for it. Please be proud. Moving on from the story, there is the devs that I do want to talk about because I believe they do very much have a very interesting history to them. Beginning with Andyland. Andyland's internet footprint goes back as far as 2015, starting with an animation about magnets. He's left quite a footprint, creating all sorts of art. How I found about him was through doom scrolling and finding his 23rd birthday animation. And that's where I slowly became intrigued with what he makes. The animation had this old aesthetic with a strange, uncanny feeling to it that's still relevantly present. Little did I know that he was capable of so much more. Animations that are mesmerizing to where I'd watch on repeat to get every bit of knowledge and attention out of it, seeing the beginning of him releasing his own games, along with the rest of the game dev crew. The next in the crew being Stepford. Stepford is also another dev on Picayune Dreams, who I believe is the main coder of the game. According to this Newgrounds wiki, who was one of the most active and accomplished game developers on Newgrounds during the early 2020s. As far as this line says, they're top tier game dev. Their Newgrounds account tracks them back to around 2021, creating a variety of media from art to games to animations, and their amazing audio design. I stand by it, absolutely top tier. And not to forget, lastly, we have Milkypossum, who is the composer for this awesome breakcore soundtrack. The earliest to where I can track their portfolio would be around 2021, to where they've been posting so many cool things. Milky also does art and has a discography that can be found on Newgrounds. After learning more about the composer of the soundtrack of the game, I found out that they also have a Bandcamp if you want to support their albums and music directly, or you could stream on Spotify. I'm not gonna lie, I love their music. You could find some of their music and some of Andyland's animations. For example, I've been recently digging into one of their more recent albums, being Digital Utopia, which is an album that was meant to question escapism using the digital internet aesthetic of the 90s and early 2000s. They also have another album called Milk World, which I think is milk themed. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's a really cool album. The power of these three creative minds. Not only did they release Picayune Dreams within the year of 2023, but within those 2 years of 2021 to 2023, they released several different games as well as demos of those games. One of those games released in 2022, and that would be Olive's Art Adventure. It's a game that used both a keyboard and a drawing tablet, a unique concept for a game that worked quite well, functioning as a Vampire Survivors-like game where enemies infinitely spawn, till reaching the next floor. And drawing to execute attacks was a really interesting concept. I do like how it uses a drawing tablet, but it's definitely an interesting one. It's a short but fun game. I would recommend giving it a try even if you don't have a drawing tablet. Another notable game that is currently in the works that was successfully funded on Kickstarter is Endacopia, which is inspired after old school point and click adventure games. I always love these kind of games, and this game seems to be one of their longest projects yet, as far as I know, since it was first announced in 2022. Yet despite that, they released both a demo of Picayune Dreams in 2023 and released the game in 2023, which I think is wild seeing how fast the trio produces ideas for games and release it, because these are a lot of ambitious designs and ideas for players to experience. I'm all for it. I want more of these games. These games are cool as fuck. Speaking of releases I'm totally down to cover again later in the future. While researching for this video, not only did those three release Picayune Dreams in 2023, but also released a demo for another game in development called Gimmiko. It's a roguelite all about gimmicks, where you kill a bunch of enemies to get to the next level, and you can do all sorts of things. You can jump on enemies, you can throw dice at enemies, and you can give each dice that you throw a sort of gimmick to them. So depending on which side the die lands on, that gimmick will take stage and play. Looks like from this trailer, a gun counts as a dice, I guess? I didn't really think about it that way. And this one definitely radiates early internet vibes. Dude, I love it so much. Like, look at this tutorial, it's like a bunch of cat things that you'd probably see on an internet forum. That's enough talking about their other games. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Stepford, Andyland, and Milkypossum has in store for the future, because their chemistry meshes really well. It doesn't really feel that, out of all their games, that they favored one more than the other, but they all felt equally loved in some way. And I think that's what really gets the player to love the games as well. And the art, gameplay, and music really ties this all in. Editor's note: as I was about to get ready to upload this video, I just began to fact check my words, and I am a big liar. Only Andyland has worked on all three of these games, and Stepford and Milkypossum has only worked on Picayune Dreams and Olive's Art Adventure. How'd I make it this far into the video without checking? I don't know. I'm just an art nerd. This is barely my third video. It is fine. I'll improvise from here because after all, that's what it means to create something, right? What else did they work on together? Underlevel is a game about some silly little skeleton guys, and the goal is to not get murdered again by a knight storming through just to get some easy XP. Your goal is to round up as many of your little skeleton guys as you can, and bring them towards the exit, all the while destroying some pots along the way. It's a very simple gameplay loop, but if you aren't fast enough, the knight may kill your buddies or destroy the pots himself and get stronger. As the levels go on, there will be more and more skeleton guys to gather and more pots to destroy as the music continues to ramp up. Though a rather short game for a 48-hour game jam, it's still pretty fun. I'd recommend checking it out if you got some time to spare. And it's free. But you want to know what else is also free? NG Stars, or rather short for Newgrounds Stars. It is a platformer that features many Newgrounds creators as playable fighting game characters. And of course featuring the creators of the game, Andyland, Stepford, and Milkypossum, along with their own unique movesets. Aside from them, this game also features some other creators like Octoroid, Nikki Case, Senior Pello, and many more. For a small little game, it most definitely feels like a love letter towards the Newgrounds community. And it's cool to see a game like this as not a way to join the competitive platformer market, but just as a fun little game to mess around in. And I know this video was meant to be about Andyland, Stepford, and Milkypossum, but I messed up earlier. Not to discredit the other creators of the previous games, those were all impressively made, and I just made a mistake in the script. But I would like to possibly revisit them later at a different point, when they fully release. I look back at it now, I think when writing the script I got carried away just thinking how cool game devs are, and how different people with different backgrounds come together to create these amazing games for people to experience. To me, games are an interactive art piece with choices that can affect what's visually or narratively happening. It's strange because most famous artists usually work by themselves thinking about how to compose a new piece, but when multiple people work together, it inspires me to see their creative ideas mesh into this fun mess that can make devs and players happy. Sorry about this little side tour, I'm gonna go back to the original script now, on how I finished Picayune Dreams in under 8 hours. I've had Picayune Dreams in my library since release, and I was a bit afraid to play it because it felt like I'd love it to where I'd finish it too fast and not properly enjoy it. Granted, I did finish it in under 8 hours, but there's still a whole lot more things that I need to do, as there is still more content post-game. And besides, after learning about these cool devs, I kinda got inspired and started getting into creative studies of my own, and honestly, it's been pretty fun. I think it's fascinating how their style resembles the Web 1.0 in a way, and I kinda understand. It was fun back then with no limit and no rules, and there's a lot of creativity compared to the corporate blandness of today. Hell, people are bringing back GeoCity websites, which are the early 2000s websites, but now it's called NeoCities. That's fucking wild. It's crazy how people will refuse to use social media to have fun with the old internet again, because there was less limits there. So you know what? Pick up a creative hobby and put that shit on blast, because we really need some more of that in the world right now. And wrapping it back up to Picayune Dreams, it's a $5 game. It's worth your buck, it's hella replayable, and I just recommend grabbing it. So once you grab that game, sit down, get ready, and systems start. Hi, and thank you for making it through to the end of the video despite how messy it started becoming towards the end. I'll be making sure I can fact check these little bits much earlier into the script just to make sure this doesn't happen again. I just get a bit lost while getting hyperfixated on a topic, you know? Aside from that, I did start a couple more projects of my own that I'd like to showcase to you one day. One of those I'm pretty much done with, and that'd be when I'd start streaming. If you'd like to come to my small little debut, mark your calendars or turn on notifications for this day on screen. Don't know when it is. Just flashing this number on screen. Alright, you see it? Alright, cool. Just come on this day. Twitch.tv/ Vita underscore Slicca. Or check the description, it should be there. I'm still new to talking to a faceless audience, so please give me some time to adjust if I am awkward the first day. Aside from that, thank you all for helping me reach 100 subs and 3k on the Maiden and Spell video. It inspires me to create more content and makes me want to revisit the game again when I feel more confident in my fighting game skills. But thank you for watching, feel free to subscribe, and comment down below if you'd like me to cover a game that you'd want to see. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace!